Yeah, hello guys. Good morning. Can you see my screen? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Uh, Welcome to the Tungabhadra Networks once again. Yeah, my name is Karthik. I have 7+ years of experience in networking domain, including 4+ years of experience in Palo Alto Firewall. Okay. I am dealing this Palo Alto course in Tungabhadra Networks. Okay. And we will start our class with Palo Alto fundamentals. What are the Palo Alto fundamentals? Actually, before going deep into the Palo Alto firewall fundamentals, why we need firewalls? Okay, we will learn about why we need firewalls and what type of Palo Alto firewall is, and where we have to use the firewalls. Okay, before going to the fundamentals. Okay, do you know any one of you know why we need firewalls? We have a routers, right? We have a routers, and in the routers also we will create an access list. Okay, we can create an access list and we can block or we can allow the traffic. But why we need firewalls? Even though we have even though we have firewalls, even though we have routers, why we need firewalls? Do do anyone of you know? మనకి ఫైర్ వాల్స్ ఎందుకు కావాలి? మనకి రౌటర్స్లో కూడా చేసుకోవచ్చు. ఓకే, రౌటర్స్లో కూడా ఏసీఎల్స్ క్రియేట్ చేసి మనం సోర్స్ డెస్టినేషన్ బ్లాక్ చేయొచ్చు, పర్టికులర్ సో పోర్ట్ని బ్లాక్ చేయొచ్చు, అలో చేయొచ్చు. బట్ వై వీ నీడ్ ఫైర్ వాల్స్? Anyone can answer? Anyone of you have any answer for this? Okay, see here in the yeah, yeah, go on. Someone is talking, just go on. Hello. Yeah. 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 Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Whatever the router is doing, that is fine, but the router will be having security up to only L3. Okay, L1, L2, L3. But if you want to do an deep inspection, whatever you have told, if you have to if some traffic reaches, oh yeah, if some traffic reaches on your network or on your whenever traffic coming going out from your network, you have to do a deep inspection of the traffic. Okay, deep inspection means you have to do application layer from L4 to L7. We have to do, right, the router. If the router is there, we have only the access up to L3. But if you want to do from till L7 packet inspection along with an application inspection, if you want to know whether there is a malicious content or there is any vulnerabilities there, so that's where the firewalls comes into the picture. Yeah, that's correct, Navin. You have told right. And in the firewalls, we have two different firewalls. One is an legacy firewall, okay, legacy firewalls and next generation firewalls. Next generation firewalls. What legacy firewalls will do is legacy firewall will be having support up to L3 only. Okay, it will be sorry, it will be having it will be protect your network up to L1, L2, L3. It will be having a L3 security. But if you want to and deep inspection of your traffic till L7, the next generation firewalls will take. Sorry. Yes, yes, yes. Expected. Okay, just a minute. Guys, I have shared the Teams link. Can you join that Teams link? Yeah, I shared in the Zoom chat. Sorry, Google chat. I will also sharing in the WhatsApp group. You can join on the Teams link. You can see my screen, right? Hello, can you hear me? Okay, perfect. Yeah. Yeah, we have stopped here, right? Yeah, in the firewalls, we'll be having two types of firewalls. One is an legacy firewall, and second one is an next generation firewalls. In the what are the main difference between legacy and next generation firewalls? Means legacy firewalls will be having support up to L3 only, but next generation firewalls will be having will be provide a security till L7. Okay, from L1 to L7 it will be it will support security till L7. Along with an L7 we'll be having multiple features as well in the next gen firewalls, like threat detection. Okay, and vulnerability detection, threat vulnerability, and we will be having also it will be support the wildfires. Okay, And also not only the wildfire, it will be having support to URL filterings, okay, and as well as some any malicious contents, it will detect malicious contents as well, okay. Apart from protecting our traffic, we have multiple features on the next generation firewalls. We will be having threat detection, vulnerability detections. It will support wildfires, and it will also having URL filtering malicious content. Okay, so the Palo Alto firewall. What is a Palo Alto firewall? Whether it is an legacy or next gen firewalls means Palo Alto firewalls are all the next gen firewalls. Those are not legacy firewalls. Palo Alto firewalls are the next gen firewalls. In the interviews, they will be asking like, what is the what is the Palo Alto firewall is. Okay, we'll be saying that whether it is an legacy or next gen firewall. We have to say the answer right. Palo Alto firewall is the next gen firewalls because it will be supporting up to L7, and apart from that it will also have some advanced features like threat detections, vulnerabilities. In the firewalls, we are installing an dynamic updates, okay. Those dynamic updates will be having app and threats and antivirus, okay. Those will be taking care of these things, okay. Threat detection, vulnerability, and wildfire. In from the dynamic updates only we will be able to uh, pro- provide security to your network. I think someone has raised hand. Nageshwar Rao. We will discuss it. Okay. We will discuss. We'll be having that. Okay. We'll discuss that later. Okay. Once this firewall fundamentals completed, I will let you know what is IPS, IDS, and firewalls. Okay. Yeah. And going to that firewalls, why we need firewalls? Okay. Why we need firewall means we need a firewall in order to filter the traffic, whatever the traffic that is coming inside of our network and what is the traffic going outside of a network. It has to be filter, and it will be check the policies, whatever the rules that we have created, whether the traffic has to allow or whether the traffic has to be blocked. If the traffic is set to allow, the firewall will be allow the traffic, or if the firewall is set to deny, it will be denying. And not only the based upon the rules, we have multiple things that will firewall will taking care of, but basically it will be used to control our traffic, okay. Whatever the traffic that is coming out or coming inside of our network, or whatever the traffic going outside from our network, it will be controlled, okay, controlled by using the rules. That's where we can use an firewalls here, okay. The firewalls will be having there are several features the firewalls supports, and that will provide an security for our network. The first thing is an traffic control, okay. Traffic control means whatever we have discussed before. The firewalls will monitor, and it will filter our incoming and outgoing traffic based upon the whatever the rules that we have set. Okay, we have to create the rule, okay. In the firewalls we have to create the rules, whatever the traffic that we want to allow in our network, okay. And whatever the traffic that has to block, we have to block certain traffic not to access any of the resources. And for suppose if we let's take some people are doing work from home, okay. Some people are doing work from home, they have want to access some resources internally, okay. What they will do, they have to there is a concept called that is for this is that is you will be like this is an advanced topic, but I just letting you know that how the firewall work, okay. Some people are doing working from, right, they have to if they want to access some resources internally inside their offices, what they will do is they want to connect to their office network, right. So they want to connect office, they use a VPNs. After connecting VPNs, whatever the traffic coming on the firewalls, it will check whether this particular source or particular user has an access to it has an access to access those office network. Okay? They will check the firewall rules. Okay, we have create for this subnet or for this specific user, we have to allow to access the internal resources, so that the firewall will control the traffic based upon the security tools that we have configured. And if there are any unauthorized access, if any of the user is coming and trying to access, it will check the rules, and if the particular user is not mentioned in the security rules, they won't get an access. Okay, that's where this traffic control will help to avoid an unauthorized access. And the protection against attack. Okay, attacks means we have discussed, right? Threat detection or malware, any of the malware or hacking attempts. Okay, and denial of service attacks, these are the things that uh, we are going to provide from the firewall perspective to protect against these attacks. Okay, and the third one is an segmentation, how the firewall is segmented. Okay, in the switching, we have segmented the subnet into we have segmented the whole network into some segments using the VLANs, right? And also in the routers, if you see, there are some VRFs, virtual route forerunner. We can segmenting the whole route table into VS pieces of routes, so that we are creating a VR for that. In the firewall also, we have an segmentation where the segments will be used to create in zones. Okay, we'll be calling here as in zones, where zones we have to create the zones and include the whatever the PCs or whatever the system that you want for particular zone. You will create a zone and we'll add that particular zone. Whatever the users or PCs that are in the same zone, they will be able to reach within the zone. Okay, if they want to access the resources from the other zone, there will be no access. Okay, if you want to access one resources in one zone, and they want to access the other resources from the other zone, we have to create some security rules to access. Okay, why we are creating this segmentation in the firewall means in order to protect our resources, and in order to not getting in order to avoid the unauthorized access within from the different zones. So we are creating an segmentation here. Okay, segmentation will be done based upon the by using the zones here in the firewalls. In the switches we are using VLANs, right? Same like in the firewalls we are using the zones. Okay, and policy enforcements we have discussed already in the traffic control, right? We are creating a security policy, and we can, in the security policy, we'll be setting an action, whether it is an allow or whether it is an drop or whether it is an deny. Apart from that, we have to configure. Okay, we have to configure which users, which application, which port, and which user, okay, want to access or want to allow from the firewalls, or whether certain application has to block. For suppose I have a group of 100 peoples. Okay, I have a company with 100 peoples. For the first 50 users, I don't want any access of the social media application like Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. They want to use only the specific applications that we are providing. Okay, there is a requirement. Okay, so what we can do is we can create a policy, and allow what we can do is we can add all those 50 users in the security policy. And if you want, if there is any specific application that they want to not access, okay, whatever we have told, right? Social media application, we can mention those applications as well in the security policy, and set the action as deny or drop. Okay, so whatever if they try to access any social media applications, they won't be able to access. But for next set of 50 members, I want to access them for social media. Okay, and I will be creating one rule and mention these remaining 50 members in that rule, and I'm doing is I'm adding those applications, whatever the applications they want to access. I will application and set the action as allow, so that the policy enforcement will be done based upon those based upon the users and the applications. Okay, that's how policy enforcement will work. And monitoring and logging. How the firewalls will monitoring and logging means whatever the traffic it is coming, the firewall obviously doing the monitoring, right? Because whatever the traffic coming, it will check the policies and it will be sending, or whatever the traffic coming on the firewall, whether it has to block. Okay, apart from that, what it will is the traffic that has reaching the firewall, it will be log. Okay, there is a tab called monitor tab. In the monitor tab, we will be having all traffic logs, threat logs, URL filtering logs. Okay, all system logs, all the logs will be available in the monitor tab. So whatever the traffic coming into the firewall, it will be logging in that monitor tab, so that if any issue happens. Okay, for suppose in the midnight, okay, we are in the midnight, we are sleeping. Okay, in the midnight, some crash, or the firewall went or reboot automatically. Okay, and came up. Okay, but after logging in, we observed that there is some reboot happens at so and so time. Okay, but we don't know what is the cause. So we have to log into the firewall, and we have to go on to the monitor logs, and we have to set the time at what time we have experienced an issue, and we can see at that particular time what happened on the firewall. So logging will be helpful for that purpose. Okay, and whenever the issue happens, if the issue is live and we are there, we can able to identify. But if the issues happen and we are not there, and we have came after 1 hour or 2 hours, but we don't know what happened before past 1 hour, right? So if we want to know, we need to check the logs, and the firewall is logging all the logs that is happening on the firewall, or whatever the traffic coming on the firewall, and what is the traffic going out of the firewall, all the things will be logging on the firewall, so that it will be helpful for us while troubleshooting. Okay, and VPN supports. The firewalls are mainly used in the VPN support. If you know about site-to-site VPNs, where we'll be using IPsec as an site-to-site VPN, and also the remote access VPNs, where you can be installing some softwares in your laptops to connect to your office network. Okay, these are the two types of VPNs that we can support on the firewalls. Okay, one is an site-to-site VPN, where IPsec is example for that site-to-site VPN. And in the firewall, in the Palo Alto Firewall, especially for the remote access VPNs, we have an concept called Global Protect. Okay, we'll be dealing with this IPsec and Global Protect in the separate classes. I will let you know about that Global Protect and IPsec. Okay, but you have to know these are the two types of VPN supports that Palo Alto Firewall is doing. Okay, and these compliances, the firewalls will help the whatever the organization that Palo Alto Firewall is using, they will be their network will be in control of the firewall by by having these complaints. It will be providing necessary control and logging capability. Okay, overall, these are the main things that firewall supports. Okay, and you have any queries or any questions on this before proceeding further? Sorry. Yes. Yeah, these complaints is part, right? Yeah, these compliances we have in the firewalls. I told you, right. In the firewalls, we'll be having dynamic updates, where every day what the Palo Alto will do is every day at particular time they will be pushing the dynamic updates, where it will be updating the versions like app threat versions and antivirus versions, so that they will meet regular requirements in order to protect the network from malicious attacks or hacking attempts. Okay, whenever there is an hacking attempt, there will be an threat log will be detected, and if that threat log is detected, the firewall will be whatever the threats that we have detected, the firewall will be blocked. Okay, the firewall first block that traffic, and it won't allow. So how the compliances will be achieved, right? By using the dynamic updates in the Palo Alto firewall, will be calling as a dynamic updates, where it is updating all the app versions. Okay, app versions, threat versions, antivirus versions, and we have also the another thing called vulnerability protection. Okay, all these things will be updated on regular basis, so that the firewall will provide the necessary security and also this logging capabilities. Okay, by using these dynamic updates, that's where the compliances will be achieved on that firewalls. Okay, understood? Or do you have any queries on this? Hello. Okay, perfect. Okay, and we have different hardware models on the Palo Alto. In the hardware models, we'll be having PA 220, PA 400, we have PA 800, and we have PA 3200, PA 5200, and PA means Palo Alto. We have 7000 series, based upon the requirement. Okay, based upon the company size, and based upon the requirement, these parallel firewalls will work. But for if you have a small company with like hundreds of users. Okay, if you have a small company and you want to have protect your environment. Okay, these PA 220 and 400 series are best suitable. Okay, with small size, and the security wise, all the firewalls will provide the same security. There is no compromise in that. But based upon the user activity and based upon the company size, these parallel to firewalls will work. Okay, and they will choose the these models. If for the small business and some branch offices, these PA 220 and 400 series of firewalls are suitable. And for mid size, like if you have some 5000 to 1000 users in your company, and this PA 800 will provide, it will be suitable for that company, and it will provide some good performance in the sense, the processor wise, and the what we can call it as a RAM and as a memory, right? The processor wise, the 800 series firewalls are better suitable, better than this PA 220 and PA 400 firewalls. And if you go with PA 3200, we'll be having mid-size organizations. We mid-size, not only the mid-size, but over the mid-size organizations, this PA 3200 series will be very much suitable. In that, we will be having PA 3220 and 3250 series. These are the two different models in this 3200. And we'll be having PA 5200 series, where it will be best suitable for the larger enterprises. Okay, larger enterprises. And we'll be having data centers as well, right? In our every MNCs, they will be having data centers. So there it will be 5200 will be very much suitable, and it will be providing scalability as well. Okay, scalability in the sense, in these firewalls, we'll be having some multiple CPUs. Okay, on these firewalls we will see only one or two CPUs, but if you see on the 5200 series, we'll be having four data plane CPUs, so that the scalability and the performance wise is much better and suitable for the larger enterprises. Okay, and these PA 7000 series firewalls are like chassis wise. Okay, it will be rack size mounted. Okay, and in that we'll be having some modules. Okay, we have to insert those modules. We cannot replace all the firewall because it is of the rack size. Whatever the racks that we are using in our data center, that will be in that size, and we'll be having that only modules. If you want to replace, we have to module single module, and we cannot if anything something is happen on the firewalls, these firewalls will be, we can exchange, or we can call it as an army. Okay, we can do an army on these firewalls, but the entire firewall we can do, but on the 7000 series firewall, if something has happened, we cannot do. We have to do whatever the particular model is causing the issue, we can replace that model, but entire firewall is, we cannot do that. Okay, this is typically for high performance need, and this is also mostly used in the ISPs. Okay, ISPs instance will be having more ISPs, right? Geo, Airtel, and Vodafone. In those ISPs, these PA 7000 series firewalls are used because they have they need an extra protection, and they need because ISPs will be having multiple traffic, right? They are providing internet to some different organizations where they will be having multiple users. In order to provide extra security and also the scalability, so PA 7000 series firewalls are much useful in the service provider environment. Okay, and apart from hardwares, will be the Palo Alto supports VM series also. Okay, which is this VM series we will be installing in any of the cloud or any one of the virtual machines, so that we'll be using instead of physically placing in one place, we'll be deploying these VM series firewalls in any one of the VMs or any one of the clouds, so that we'll be using from there. Okay, in this VM series also we'll be having some different VM models like VM50, VM100, VM300, and VM500. This is also based upon our requirement. Okay, based upon our requirement, and based upon our user activity, and number of users in our environment or organization, this VM series firewall will also work in the same way. But CN series firewalls, we are not dealing with the CN series firewalls. We are dealing with only hardware and also the VM series firewalls. Okay, if I want to show the pictures are like this. Okay, these are the PA 200 series 220, and these are the 400 series 400 series, and these are the 800 series. In the 800 we'll be having 820 and 850, and we'll be having RJ45 in the 200 series, and 400 series we'll be having RJ45 ports. Okay, and this the set of two ports will be there. One is for management and one is for console, and here also we will be having RJ45, and one is for, here we have a management and one is for console. But if you see here on the 800 series firewalls, we will be having not only RJ45, we will be having the fiber ports as well. Okay, and we'll be having two sets of ports here in this, right? One set of firewall, one set of ports will be used for management and console, and one set of will be using for high availability. Okay, we'll be discuss more about these ports in the high availability topic. Okay, but just remember, some firewalls will be having dedicated HA interfaces. Okay, HA we will be calling as an HA interfaces, and for 200 and 400 CFI we don't have a dedicated HA interfaces. We are not seeing any, right, any other set of ports. We are seeing only one set, which is for management and console, and others are we are using for this our traffic. Okay, we'll be calling as an in-band interfaces. Okay, these are the in-band interface, and this is an outband interface. These in-band interfaces where we are calling as an data plane, and this outband will be calling as a management plane. Okay, this is for management traffic, where you can able to log in to the firewall or SSS to the firewall, so that you will be able to configure. But actual traffic will be flown through this data plane. The data plane will be taking care of our actual traffic, and the management plane will be taking care of the management traffic. Okay, These are the 5200 and 3200. These will be having multiple ports because it will be very much suitable in the mid size and large size, right? This is the 7000 series firewalls. It should be like here in the picture it is be having a small size, but it will be big one, which is an rack. This will be calling as an modules. Okay, this is one module, second, three, four, five, six, seven. It will be having eight modules, and below that will be having fans. Okay, in the back side we'll be having PSU ports, power supply units. Okay, and if there is something is happen, we cannot change this whole firewall. We'll be removing these modules, whatever the module facing issue, we can more remove this, and we can reinsert the new one in this place. And also this will also the one different model of 7000 series firewalls. It will be supporting more modules. Okay, this is the some different types of hardware models. Okay, and this ends with hardware models. Okay, and we have an interface types. Okay, in the firewalls I have discussed about some of the interface, right? And we will be discussing another set of we have in this interface types. Okay, the first interface is an management interface, where this management interface, see here, whatever the ports we are having here, right? This is for the management, this is for management. Okay, why we need management interface? Okay, from the uplink we will be connecting to this management interface, so that we will be getting IP address from the uplink port. Okay, we are having some what we call switches or routers, right? From the switches or routers we will be having uplinks, right? From that uplink we are connecting to this management port, so that the firewall will get the IP address from those uplinks. So once we get an IP address, we will be able to log in through the web interface. Web interface means from the browser, any of the browser supported browser like Google Chrome or Firefox. Okay, or Edge. From the web browser we have to log into the firewall. Okay, these Palo Alto firewalls mostly works on the GA only. Web GA means we'll be logging to the web, log into the firewall through the web, and we'll be able to all the things will be done in the configuring and monitoring. If you want to do new configuration, if you want to do any take the logs, all will be done in the web interface only. This SSH we can also do in the SSH, but mostly web GUI will be a simple way. Okay, in the web GUI everything will be visible on from for our eyes, so that whatever we want we can go there and we can configure. And from the SSH we can also do the from SSH, but mostly it will be difficult. We have to remember all the commands, right? If you want to configure something, if you want to configure and port and assign IP address, we have to do the whole command, right? We have to run whole command. So that is something bit difficult to remember all those commands. But from the web GUI, everything will be seen, everything will be visible for our eyes, right? So we can easily identify where is an interface, and what needs to be done on that interface. It will be clearly shown on that web interface. Okay, but most important thing is in the management, from the management interface we can be able to log into the firewall using web GUI and as well as an SSH. This is only for the management traffic. Okay, not for the data traffic. Management interface is for the management traffic, where you can access web GUI and SSH. And after configuring web GUI and SSH, we can able to log into the firewalls. Hello, someone is asking something. Yeah. Yeah, with the help of GUI, we can able to troubleshoot. Everything will be done on the GUI, but there are some commands or some troubleshooting will be there. What needs to be check on the CLA, I will let you know once we are doing the lab. Okay, there are some set of troubleshooting that needs to be done on the CLI. Okay, we can see everything in the GUI itself. If you want to troubleshoot one thing, the GUI is enough. But for advanced troubleshooting, the basic troubleshooting will be from the GUI. If issue is not able to identify from the GUI, the next level troubleshooting will be done on the CLI. There are some commands that will not help the to see the logs, the advanced logs on the GUI, but you can see from the CLI. For that purpose, we can use the CLI. But most probably, the troubleshooting part we can do from the GUI as well. Okay. Yeah. And the second set of interface is, second one is an HA interface, where I told you, right, they will, some firewalls will be having a dedicated HA interface. Some firewalls will don't have a dedicated interface. In that case, what we can do is we can be using the in-band interfaces. For we can configure HA, and we can be using these in-band interfaces for the connecting the HA. HA is mainly for the redundancy purpose. We are using to avoid the single point of failures. We can use for the redundancy purpose. We are using HA here. So we, if you want to connect to two firewalls in a HA, we need ports, right? So in order to connect to the two firewalls, we need an HA port. Some firewalls will be having dedicated HA interfaces, but PA200 and PA400 we don't have dedicated HA interface. We can use an in-band interface by configuring this interface as an HA. Okay, in that case, this HA interface will be useful for configuring firewalls in an high availability. Okay. The third one is an tap interface, where this tap interface will be mostly used for the monitoring purpose only. We cannot to do anything on the firewall, but just what it will do is we will be having some network, right? Okay, I will show in the diagram. Okay, uh, let's take, you will be having here the router, and the router is here, and we'll be connecting the switch here. Let's take, this is your switch, and it will be connected like this. Okay, your your routers and switch, it will be connecting like this, and this outside of your network, it is connected to an internet. Okay, whatever the before the firewall. Okay, there is no firewalls. Whatever the traffic, this is your network. Okay, this is all your network, and whatever the traffic going inside and outside, it will be flow like this, right? From the switch, from the inside, from the switch, it will go to the router, and this router, and it will go to the outside. Whatever the traffic coming from outside, from outside to the inside, it will be flown like this. But what you what is your requirements? From without the firewalls, we cannot monitor this, whatever the whatever the traffic is flowing, or whatever the traffic is coming in, we cannot monitor, right? So in order to if you want monitor your network traffic without disturbing anything. Okay, without disturbing anything, if you want to monitor the traffic, what you can do is you can add the firewall. Okay, you can add the firewall to the switch, so that what the switch will do is, whatever the traffic flowing out of the your network and coming inside your network, all the traffic will be sent to the firewall. It will be calling, here we'll be configuring the interface as an tab. Okay, so that it will be silently monitoring your network. Okay, it won't do anything. It will just log the all the traffics whatever coming from the switch, and it will be saving in the firewalls. It won't do anything. The firewall will won't enforce anything here, because it is not part of your network, and it will not do anything. It will just monitor. If you want to monitor your network, what are the traffic coming and what are the going, we will be simply adding the firewalls with configuring as a tap interface. If you configure a tap interface, we cannot configure anything, and it will be just simply for the monitoring purpose. Okay, and we have an layer 2, layer 2 interface. The interface, if you want to configure the interface as an if the if one interface, it needs to be want to configure as L2, and will be configure interface type as an L2, and that interface will be functioning like a switch. Okay, it will be useful in the where transport mode deployments. Okay, and if you want to if you want to use the interface as an L3 or the router, so this L3 will be configuring interface as an L3 will be much useful, and the firewall will be the particular interface, whatever the particular interface that we have configured as L3, that will be acting as an router. And if you are configuring L3, we need to configure IP addresses, right? We need to configure IP address, we need to configure an routes. Okay, we have an virtual router. Okay, where these interfaces will be included. Thus virtual router in the firewall we'll be having virtual router, that is where that is a place where the firewall will work as an router, and will be having static routes, dynamic routes. Okay, dynamic routes means we have supports and OSPF, BGP. Okay, and also we'll be having route tables, forwarding tables. All these tables will be here in the virtual router. Okay, once you configure L3, this L3 interface will be in the virtual router. So those virtual router will be acting as an router in the firewalls. We'll be having all the routes here in the virtual router. Okay, and virtual wire interface. Okay, this is one type of deployment in the Palo Alto firewall, where this mode will allow the firewall to operate transparently between two Ethernet segments without altering the IP address of the traffic passing through it. Okay, I will show you how this deployment will be. You will take the same example. Okay, you have a router here, and you have a router here, and one of the switch is connected where your traffic is coming from, and you have connected like this, the same thing, and it will be connected to the internet. Your routers are connected to an internet. Like for suppose the traffic is flowing like this, right? The inside traffic to the outside is flowing like this, and whatever the traffic flowing from outside to the inside, it will flow like this. But you have to monitor your traffic. Not only the monitor, you want to restrict some traffic. The unwanted traffic you want to restrict without changing anything on your without changing what we call without changing any configurations on your network. We no need to change anything, but I want to monitor, or I want to enforce policies on your network, so that some unauthorized access needs to be restricted. Okay, what we can do is we can implement the firewall between these two routers. Okay, between these two routers, what we can do is we will be calling this interface, whatever the interface that we have connected. Okay, let's suppose the router 1 is connected to the firewall on this interface, and the firewall is connected to router 2 on this interface. Okay, this is one interface, and this is also one interface. Let's take I'm taking this as an let's take the number. First interface of the firewall is connected to this router 1, and the second interface of the firewall is connected to the router 2. Okay, what we are doing is here, if you want to monitor your traffic without changing the IP addresses, we are implementing the firewall in your network with an virtual wire mode. Okay, virtual wire mode means these two interfaces will be configured as an virtual wire mode. What it will do is it will be in a transfer mode. We don't know, the router don't know, these two routers don't know whether you have a firewall or not. Well, it will be thinking that I am directly connecting to the other router, but in the topology wise, it will be not directly connecting to the other router. There is a firewall in between which is connected transparently with the virtual wire mode. So whatever the IP address here and whatever the IP address here, we are not changing anything, we are just adding the firewall, and whatever the traffic going from your network to the outside, it will be logging here. Whatever the traffic coming from outside to inside, it will be logging here. Okay, these two are the virtual interfaces. Okay, these two are the virtual interface. It just passing the traffic, and Let's suppose we have got some unauthorized access from the internet. Okay, they some hackers trying to access, trying to get inside your network. What it will do is, we have made the policies on this, right? What it will do, it will be checking the policy whether this user has to allowed or not. Okay, whether if the policy is there, it will be allowing. Okay, if the policy is not there, it will dropping here itself. Okay, so in order to protect, in order to monitor, and in order to implement the policies without changing anything, without changing any configuration in your network, this virtual wire mode is suitable. Okay, this is how the virtual wire interface will be used in the many of the networks, where without altering any IP address for the traffic passing through it. But the firewall will restrict the traffic based upon the rules that we have defined. Okay, but in the tap mode, it won't do anything. It will just monitor the traffic. It will just monitor, and it will analyze, and it, if you, if some administrators needs the for the auditing purpose will be there, right? For the auditing purpose, the administrator, what it will do, they will get the 1 month of data or 2 months of data to audit. Okay, why, if there are any unauthorized access is coming into the network or not. Okay, for that purpose, the tap interface very much useful, where the firewalls monitor the traffic. But in the virtual wire mode and virtual wire interface, we are implementing the router in your network without altering anything, without changing any IP address, without changing any configuration. But these firewalls will be useful to enforce the policies as well, or to control the traffic flowing out, in and out of your network. Okay, this virtual wire mode is very much helpful in that. And aggregate interface, here the aggregate interface will be supported in the hardware models only. Hardware model means we have 200, 400, 800 series firewall, right? We will be having these hardware models. The aggregate interface will be suitable or supported. And the VM models, this aggregate interface is not so supported on this Palo Alto firewalls. Okay, on the VM Palo Alto firewalls, this aggregate interface will not be supported. But why we using aggregate interface means, aggregate interface very much useful for combining of two physical interface into a single one, in order to increase the bandwidth and redundancy. Here in the Cisco terminology, we'll be calling as an port channel or ether channel. Okay, that port channel and ether channel in the Cisco terminology. Here in the Palo Alto, we'll be calling as an aggregate interface, where we are logically combining two physical interfaces to increase the bandwidth. For suppose I want to, I don't have the, I have the interfaces with only 1 GB. Okay, but at a time I want to send an more than 1 GB of traffic. In that case, what we can do, we can logically combine the two interfaces into an physical, into an single interface, so that the bandwidth will increase. One plus one, it will become two. Okay, so in that large aggregate interface, we can send more than 1 GB of data, right? So in that case, this aggregate interface will be very much useful. Okay, and the next thing is an VLAN interface. VLAN interface, you can all, you will also see in the switching, right? In the VLAN, where you can configure IP address on the VLAN. Okay, that will be calling as an VLAN interface. But here in the Palo Alto, we, if you want to configure an sub interface, we can configure multiple sub interface on the one physical interface. So if you want to configure sub interface, we need a VLAN. Okay, in that we, that sub interface will be calling as an VLAN interface, and we will include one sub interface in that VLANs, so that we'll be flowing this VLAN traffic through this sub interface to be configured on that physical sub interface. Okay, in that physical in the physical interface, if you want to allow multiple VLANs, we'll be creating an sub interface, and that sub interface will include in one VLAN, so that whatever the traffic coming from that VLAN, it will be allowed from that sub interface. Okay, and tunnel interface, we'll be mostly using this tunnel interface when we are configuring and tunnels, like we have discussed about VPNs, so IPsec and global protect. At that time, we'll be creating an tunnel interface where this it will be acting as a virtual interface while creating an VPNs to route the traffic securely from one side to other side, or through the internet from remote to your office network. Okay, these tunnel interfaces are very much helpful in your secure connection. Okay, these are the different types of interfaces. Any queries or any questions on this interface types? Yeah. Where you are saying here? Actually, we are. Yeah, yeah. Go on. Go ahead. Yes. Yeah. Same subnet. Yeah. Same subnet. Whatever the configurations before on these routers, the configuration won't change. If it is an same subnet, it will be in same subnet. Okay. We are not changing any configuration here. We are just implementing a firewall transparently here with an virtual wire mode, so that this will firewall will be able to monitor virtually, not transparently between these routers. We are not changing any configuration. Okay, if it is in same subnet, the obviously the directly connected routers will be in the same subnet. So for your question, it will be in the same subnet. It won't, the subnet won't be changed here. Okay. Yeah, it will be filter in the packet levels. Whatever the traffic coming from these routers, or whatever the traffic coming from your internal network, based upon that, the firewall will filter. Yeah. Others, any other questions before proceeding? Time. Okay. Yeah, I will consider this as no. And I have told you, right, the segmentation in the firewalls, the segmentation will be happen by configuring the zones. Okay, in the zones are logical segmenting. In the switching also, we are logically segmenting the whole subnet into whole network into different subnets, right? So that in the firewall also we are creating a zones. What the zones will do is, the zones will be logically segmenting the interface group of interface into one. And whatever the, let's take, I will show you in the diagram, that is better for you understanding. Let's take, this is the firewall. Okay, we have multiple interfaces. Let's take ethernet 1, ethernet 2, ethernet 3, 4, 5, 6, ethernet 7, ethernet 8, ethernet 9. We have 9 interfaces. What we are doing is, we are segmenting these interfaces into one zone. Okay, let's create I'm configuring these three interface in a one zone, and these three interfaces in one zone, and these three interfaces I'm segmenting. Okay, before segmentation, all these firewalls, all these interfaces in one. Okay, all the interfaces will be passing the traffic, whatever the traffic coming from here, it will also pass. But after segmenting these interfaces by zones, what it will do is, whatever the traffic, if you want to send the traffic from ethernet 1. Okay, let's take, this is an ethernet 1. Let's take, this is ethernet 3, or let's take 4. Okay, this is an 5, this is an 6. Okay, if you want to send the traffic from ethernet 1 to or any of the interfaces here, like 4, 5, or 6, this is one zone, and this is one different zone, right? If you want to send the traffic, the firewall won't allow. Okay, within the zone it will allow. Okay, within the zone, if you want to send the traffic from 1 to 2, or if you want to access something from first interface to third interface, within the zone it will be, within the zone it will be able to access without any interfering of the firewalls. It will be able to access. Okay, but if you want to access something from this interface, and let's take, there is an server connected on this fourth interface. I want to access the whatever the resources on the server I want to access. Let's take on this first interface I have connected my PC. Okay, this is my PC. I want to access something on this server. Okay, but both are in different zone. Let's take this is my inside zone. We have to configure. Okay, we have to configure in the sense we have to name them. This is an inside zone. This is an outside zone. Okay, I'm in the inside zone. I want to access something on the outside zone. Okay, but without firewalls or without configuring anything, we cannot access this. Okay, we cannot access anything from the different zones. If you want to access resources on the different zones, we need to configure and security rules. Okay, security rules, what we are configuring in the security means from this zone and from this interface and from this user, they want to access resources on this zone and on this particular destination. We have to mention that in the security policy, the source IP, source zone, we can call it a source interface, and on the destination interface, destination zone and destination IP. If you create a security tools, whenever the traffic coming from this particular source, it will check the security policy, and we have set the action as an allow, it will be allowing. Okay, so the more what is the fundamental of this creating a zone means we are restricting the access to accessing resources from one zone to different zones, so that will be protect our inside network. Okay, if there are no zones, anyone coming from outside, it will be able to access inside of network, right? So creating a zones, we are restricting the access of our inside network from the outside. Okay, so if you want to do that, we need to create a security policy, and we have to mention whether to need to and allow the traffic on this particular zone or not. Okay, and there is one different zone called DMZ zone, where we have our internal servers which are publicly faced. Okay, internal server means let's take we have some servers here which is internal to our network, but we have configured with an public IP address. We these are the servers which are inside of your network, but it will be configured with an public IP address. So we will be configured those servers in the DMZ zone. We'll be calling as an DMZ zone, so that it will be in the inside network, but it will be faced towards the network outside network with the public IP addresses. Okay, DMZ means demilitarized zone, and these demilitarized zones where we can have the servers as a buffer between trust and untrust. It is used to host public facing services while protecting the internal network. Okay, while protecting internal network, it will be mostly it will be towards the public, but it will be located in our internal network to protect our internal resources. Okay, and these are the zones, and one last topic in this class is an interface management profile. Yes, yes, go on. Yes, someone asking a doubt. Hello. Yeah. Yes. Terminology is different, but topic is same. In the VLANs, what we can do, we can creating an VLAN, and we are including the group of interfaces in that VLAN. Whatever the traffic coming from that VLAN, it will only accessible in the same VLAN, but it won't. We cannot route the traffic to the different VLANs, right? In the same way, the zones here in the firewalls. Inside this network, we will be able to access without any security policies. But if you want to access anything from the other network or other zones, we need to create a security policy. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. Inter VLAN, or if you want to connect one VLAN to another VLAN, you want a router as well. Okay. Yeah. No, there is no such inter VLAN or router. We just need an security policies. That's it. We need to configure security policies so that from one zone to another zone we will be able to route the traffic. Yeah, yeah. Hmm. No, no, no. The internal users will won't affect. Those are the publicly faced, and they will be having separate zone as well. The internal users won't affect, but that will be mostly for protecting the internal users only. The internal users won't affect with that. Ye- Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, that's all. If you keep that in the inside zone, there will be a problem. This is public phase, right? We are getting multiple requests from the public. So if you keep in the inside zone, there will be something vulnerable will be there in the inside zone, right? So instead of keeping in the inside zone, what we are doing is we are creating a DMZ zone and placing those servers in the DMZ zone so that any one of the user from the public, they will access directly. If they want to access, they will go to the DMZ zone, they will be accessing, they won't come to the our inside network. Okay, so that we can protect our inside zone by providing services from the server which are in this DMZ zone. Yes, that's correct. Yeah. And last topic for this session is interface management profile. Why we use interface management profile and what is need for this. Okay. See here in the management interface, what we have discussed about accessing the web interface of the firewall or SSH, right? For suppose we don't have an access to that management interface. For suppose this management interface went down, or we won't have an accessible, and we want to configure something urgently. Okay. If you want to configure something on that firewall, we need an web access or SSH access. Mostly we will be going with an web access for the configuration. Okay, so we have lost the management interface access or management interface access. Management is it will- Yeah, guys, can you hear me? వినపడుతుంది కదా? Yeah, we are discussing about interface management profile, right? If you want to access management interface of the firewalls, we have to reachable to the management interface, and it should be up, right? For some reasons, we lost the access to the management interface, and we have to configure something on the firewall urgently. Okay, in order to, if the in the place of management interface, we can also access this firewall GUI or SSH with the data plane interface as well. Data plane interface means whatever the interfaces that are in the in band, right? Mostly management will be used, but we the management interface is down, we are not able to access. So we can also we can also take the GUI access of this firewall using these interfaces. Okay, so if you want to use these interfaces for the management, what we need to do is, first we need to configure an interface management profile. We have a concept of interface management profile. We can configure that, we can enable the features. Okay, we these are the different types of features. If you want to access management, you have to enable the HTTPS. Okay, for accessing management access of the firewalls through the data plane interfaces or in-band interfaces, we can be enabling the HTTPS. Apart from the HTTPS, we will be having different features as well. One is an SSH ping. If you want to monitor the firewall using on the data plane interface, you can enable SNMP, telnet. Okay, this web UI access and HTTPS both are same. Okay, and the main purpose of the management interface profile means, what is the main purpose means, in order to avoid the single failure of management interface, we have only the one management interface. If you lost the management interface, or if the management interface is down, we cannot able to access, right? In order to avoid that, we'll be having a feature called interface management profile, where you can configure interface management profile and enable the features. I will show you once we are doing the lab. Okay, how the management interface is profile created, and how we can enable these features. For accessing web GUI of the interface, we need to enable the HTTPS. And if you want to allow the ping, if you want to ping from one network to another network, and that is passing through this interface, for my must and should, you have to allow the ping. Okay, if you are not enabling the ping on that interface, the ping should not be allowed, and you cannot see the ping traffic on the firewall. Okay, so by default, or whenever you are doing something on the firewall, just configure and management interface and enable this ping. And if you want, you can also enable HTTPS, so that on that particular, using that particular interface, you can also enable the management GUI of the firewalls. Okay, this is the main purpose of the management profile. Do you have any doubts on this interface management profile? You have understood, right? Why we use interface management profile? Yeah, this is a redundancy for the management interface. I will repeat once again. It won't do automatically. We have to configure the interface management profile on the firewall, and we need to call that interface management profile and on the interface that you want. Okay, and we have to enable HTTPS in that if you want to access web GUI of that firewall. Okay, it won't do automatically. We have to create. That's correct. It is for the redundancy, for the redundancy of the management interface. Yeah, sure, sure. See here, I'll take example for you. This is your firewall. Okay, we have an management interface, and also we have some data plane interfaces. Okay, let's take this is an one data plane interface, two data plane interface, and this is a third one. Okay, if you want to configure something on the firewalls, we are already there are some upstream devices where you are getting management IP address by connecting uplink to the management, and we have got an inter IP address. Okay, If you want to check the management in the firewall, once you log in from the CLI, you can see using the command show interface management. Okay, with this command, what it will do is it will be able to get the IP address. Okay, we'll be able to check the IP address. With that IP address, we'll be able to access the management of this firewall. For suppose maybe some reasons, maybe this upstream device went down, or maybe the management port went down. So if this happens, we cannot access the management of this firewall, right? So in order to avoid that, we'll be configuring interface management profile. Okay, interface management profile. And in that interface management profile, let's say I'm configuring using the name some allow mgmt. Okay, and I'm using the name allow mgmt, and I have enabled the https, and obviously we need to enable the ping. By default ping will not, by default we need to enable the ping for all the interface for the, if you want to allow the ping. And in that same one you can enable the https. And what we can do is we are binding this, or we are adding this interface management profile in any one of the data plane interface. Okay, if you, let's suppose in this 1/1 you have connected your laptop. Okay, so wherever you have connected your laptop, add this interface management profile in this interface. Okay, I will show you just for the understanding purpose. I'm telling you, configure this interface management profile and add this interface management profile on this interface, so that we will be able to get the firewall GA with this particular IP address. Okay, whatever the IP address that we have mentioned on this Ethernet 1/1. Let's take this is an Ethernet 1. On this particular interface, whatever the IP address we have, with that IP address we will be able to log in web GUI. Okay, understood? Or do you have any confusion again? Okay, yeah, I will show you while doing the lab. Okay, how we can access management profile using data plane. Yeah. With this, our first day of part 1 firewall fundamentals is completed. Tomorrow we will learn the packet flow. Once the traffic enter the firewall, how the firewall will inspect the packet. What are the different stages that we have? Okay, we have multiple stages that the traffic will pass. Okay, these are the different stages, and the firewall, how the firewall will inspect the packet, how the firewall will allow the packet. Okay, and also apart from packet flow we'll have a type of sessions. Okay, we'll discuss more in the tomorrow's class. Okay, this is all about firewall, some firewall fundamentals. We'll be continuing with packet flow tomorrow. Have any queries or any questions? I will provide the recording of this once this class completes. I will provide in 10 or 20 minutes after this class. You will go through that and let us know if you still, if you have any doubts. Okay, any other questions? Okay, perfect. Okay, so we can wind up this session here, and we will continue the class tomorrow same time. Okay, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. Yeah, thanks for joining, guys.